March 25th, 2015. I'm standing right at the spot of execution of the 22 soldiers of the 5th Light Infantry of the British Army in Singapore, in Outram Park, which then used to be Outram Prison. The 5th Light Infantry comprised mostly of Brahmins, Rajputs that is, and Pathans. Thus, it was almost completely Muslims, which was very unusual for that time. They had been moved here to Singapore from Madras, and they were waiting for their orders to be dispatched. They were to be sent to Hong Kong, but they didn't know that. And there were rumors that they would be sent to Mesopotamia or to Europe to fight against the Ottoman Empire, the Sultan of which, Mehmed V, was the Caliph at that time. Not only the Ghadar party, whose aim was to break India away from the British Empire, but also civilians like Qasim Mansur, who was a Gujarati coffee shop owner at that time here, and Nur Alim Shah, who was a religious leader. These people were also trying to incite the soldiers against the British. So on February 15th, 1915, a gunshot at 3:30 p.m. started the mutiny. Well, they didn't know that they were being sent to Hong Kong. They thought they were being dispatched to fight against the Ottoman, against the Khalifa. So, innamal a'malu binniyah, all actions judged by intentions. So, according to their intention, they refused to fight against the Khalifa. So, they were mutinying against their king, but they were keeping up the promise they had given to their God, upholding it against the one they had given to their king. So, mutineers ran from one side, but freedom fighters and mujahideen ran from the other. The 4 Rajput companies mutinied, more than 400 men, and about 100 Malay guard also joined them in this mutiny. Half of the regiment stayed with the British. The first thing they did was shooting around, killing whoever looked European. They went to save the 309 captives of SMS Emden, the German ship, but unexpectedly the Germans did not join the mutiny, other than 17 soldiers, and 35 of them used the opportunity to escape. It was a Chinese New Year, so the guard was quite thin, so it was the best time to attack. Yet they were very unorganized, and they didn't have a clear aim, no command, no discipline. So it was impossible for them to succeed in that, and the mutiny was quelled in about a week. 46 of them died, 422 of them were captured, some of them were put to trial. Some of them went north and tried to swim across the Strait of Johor, but Sultan Ibrahim Iskandar El-Masihur ibn Abu Bakr of Johor simply gathered those that were trying to escape to Johor and handed them back to British. Apparently the Sultan had not heard of the hadith El-Muslimi ikhwal Muslim la yazlimhu wa la yaslimhu, meaning Muslim is the brother of Muslim, he doesn't treat him cruelly, he doesn't surrender him to the enemy. From the Sahih Bukhari, Hadith 3 of Book of Mezalim, Book of Cruelty. The Sultan of Johor was an Anglophile, and he was known as one of the richest men of his time in those years. More than 200 soldiers were put on trial. 37 of them were sentenced to death, 89 were sentenced to life sentences, and were sent to the islands of Andaman. And what you see here is today Outram Park, a very nice little green park at the heart of Singapore. Which then was the Outram prison. The prison had a rectangular footprint with an extension in that corner. The wall ended with a tower with sort of a dome-like structure. The prison was taken down and the building complex was made here, so the apartment buildings then were taken down and this place was turned into a park. The outline of the apartment buildings can be seen in the middle of the park as diagonal lines. So this place looks nothing like what it used to look like 100 years ago. Where I'm standing is actually the hill where, according to some accounts, 15,000 people gathered to watch the executions. According to the newspapers of those dates, they were brought from this side and they were tied to the posts here, and as a final act of defiance they rejected blindfolds. When the soldiers that had tied them to the posts were walking this side, they were looking behind them, after them. Or maybe they were looking towards their homeland, to Punjab. Or maybe they were looking towards Mecca or Medina, where the Prophet is buried now. The firing squad consisted of mainly volunteers, so they were not very good in shooting. It was 5 gunmen against every prisoner. When they were ready for shooting, a Jewish woman, a fat Jewish woman, is reported to run down the slope shouting, "Tambak, tambak, tada tambak." Shoot, shoot. They didn't shoot. By the way, women were not allowed to such executions in those times, so that's an exception, I guess. Then with the first volley of shots, she fell down the slope, and when she came down at the very bottom, she said, "Suda tambak," or the shot. So she missed the shootings. The firing squad, which was 5 men against 1 prisoner, was mostly consisting of volunteers, so they couldn't do a good job, and it was the job of the commander, according to the procedure, to finish it up with a bullet to the head if necessary. There are 3 pictures taken from those shootings, 2 before the shootings and 1 right after the shooting. There's controversy about these pictures regarding their authenticity, because the rifles do not look like Enfields and they look like some rifles used during and after the Second World War. However, the building, the place, all the definitions, they all fit this place. And the pictures, if you count the numbers that are executed, are exactly following the count of the execution orders, which can be found on the internet. From the point of view of British, these soldiers were renegades, mutineers, traitors who didn't keep their promise to their king. From the point of view of the Ottomans, the Sultan of whom had issued a fatwa to all the Muslims of the world to oppose the British. These guys were loyal soldiers of Islam keeping up the promise they had given to their God, to Allah. They did not care about what would happen to them. If they had stayed loyal, they would have earned Cengi inams. Cengi inam is a special pension for 2 generations. It was instituted by the British government. So those Indian soldiers that fought for the British Army would be eligible for these pensions, and after their death it would be their offspring that would continue to receive those pensions all their lifetimes. There are 2 plaques mounted in the memory of the British soldiers, 47 British soldiers that lost their lives during this mutiny. And I read it somewhere, it was written, there is no memorial anywhere in the world in the name of these mutineers who were executed here. The total number is not known. Different sources give different numbers. Some say 45. 45 were shot by the firing squad, and 2 civilians, the Gujarati coffee shop owner and the religious person, they were hanged. It was written that there's not a single monument in their name anywhere. No, there is. Here. Why did I come here 100 years later to commemorate them? Maybe on that day one of them will step forward and say, though with a difference of 100 years, he was there too. Plus, the Ottoman Empire and its natural successor Turkey have memorial cemeteries for their martyrs in 27 different countries today. I hope our Pakistani and Indian fans don't mind if we add Singapore as an honorary member to that list, though their graves are not known.